Welcome to episode 4 of the Warrior Pulse. I'm your host, Trey Heath. Today I have the distinct privilege of interviewing Christian Quezada, who is a 2020 graduate from Weber International University. Christian has now moved on to Arizona State, where he's pursuing his master's degree in sports journalism. So Christian, welcome back to Weber. How's everything going?
Thank you so much. I mean, it's a pleasure to be back. It's always nice to come back to your old stomping grounds and see all your classmates and former teachers, friends, and even family. So it's a pleasure to be back, and it's pretty exciting to be back home. It's a warm feeling.
Fantastic. How has the transition been from Weber as an athlete, actually a two-sport athlete? How has it been just to become a student now as you've moved on to Arizona State?
Yeah, so moving on to Arizona State, it was a little weird at first, if I'm being quite honest. Having been a student athlete, through high school, and then, obviously during your undergrad, trying to attain your bachelor's, it's such a busy lifestyle. And it's like, once you leave that lifestyle, now you're just specifically just doing school by itself, you feel like you're just missing something. It's just like every day you're going along with your general life and, you do your schoolwork, you might go work and make some money or whatever it is you need to do, but you keep feeling like you're just missing something. And so for me, I try to at least play sports in my off time. I still keep up with volleyball, play a little bit of football as well, toss the rock around. So try to keep myself busy. But yeah, it's a little weird, but I'm getting adjusted slowly but surely.
Outstanding. For those that don't know, Christian was a quarterback here at Weber for 4 years, and his last semester he played indoor volleyball for the Warriors. So he was a quarterback and a defensive specialist for the Warriors while he was pursuing his degree here at Weber. I always start the podcast out with a quote, and since he's working on his master's degree in sports journalism, I figured I would pull one from Dick Schaap. Sports writers have changed more than sports writing. Can you give me a little insight on what you feel about that?
So sports writers have changed more than sports writing. I mean, we're living through a tough time right now. Especially this semester, having to write a couple of stories that I've written. I'm able to say I'm officially a published writer now. And so with that, just the topics we've been able to speak upon and some of the things that we've been doing, they're quite sensitive. It's a sensitive time. We have to be able to kind of watch what it is we say, make sure that, we properly quote sources, and we don't want to necessarily, say anything that might, offend somebody. And so, I mean, now it's through time, I feel like journalists or sports writers even, topics and the games and everything just kind of slowly transcends. So you kind of have to change your attitude, your perception, and kind of the way you approach everything as far as writing and the message that you're trying to get across to the audience, whether it be through digital, print, or even through multimedia like broadcast.
I think that was one of the big statements there is multimedia and digital. Back in the days, people were pounding stuff out on teletypes and sending stuff over the wires, and now it's, social media and podcast and different things such as that. While you were here at Weber, you actually spent the last 2 years as the voice of the Warriors. You also conducted multiple pregame interviews live on Facebook. How did you get over? Was it something you were comfortable with at the beginning, or did you have to kind of get over some of your own fears inside before you could do that well?
Yeah, so I think, I just always had this kind of idea that I wanted to be a sports reporter. I kind of wanted to be in the journalism field. I wanted to announce and do play-by-play commentary. And so it was just one day I just walked into Ricky's office and said, hey, I'm interested in doing this. He said, well, are you really? I said, yeah, I have a general interest and I can see myself doing this in the future. And so, we immediately got into it. He was extremely helpful. I got a lot of critique and back from our old GA, Kobe Boozer, when he was here as well. And they really got on me. And, at first I could definitely say I was a little nervous. Sometimes I would talk a little too fast, or maybe I'd be a little anxious before an interview. But as time went on, it was just natural. It was just a natural thing. And, after you do it 2 or 3 times, it was just another interview, just connecting with that person that you're interviewing, genuinely being interested in what it is that they're doing, what they have to say. And I just loved it. I loved every second of it. And even, if I was busy throughout the day and had to squeeze it in, I had to run from here to there across campus. At the end of the day, I loved what I was doing, so I didn't mind it at all.
Awesome. So as we go back and you were with Weber and you came here and you played, how did Weber even end up on your college board?
Yeah, so, I mean, when I was in high school, I had such a passion for football. Football is what I knew, and I knew that I wanted to play at the next level. And so obviously looking into it, I was coming out of high school and had, various opportunities to go out of state, in Ohio, Wisconsin, even Massachusetts, even Alabama. And, but talking to my mom, I'm the only boy and in the family, and I'm her only boy as well, and the man in the house. And so for me telling her that, it kind of gave her a little shock and was like, well, I don't know how I feel about you going all the way to Ohio or something like that. And so, with Weber International coming up, being the school in Florida, actually the only school in Florida that was actually interested in me, I kind of saw that as, being only 2 hours away from my hometown, it'd kind of be a nice decision, being able to have my mom there at the games and being able to still come back and see my family for the holidays, not have to spend so much on travel expenses and everything of that nature. And so, and when I just took a visit here, like Weber, it just felt like home. I don't know what it was. Something was just so warm in my stomach and in my heart. And I looked around at this campus, this small little campus over here on the beach or on the lake. And I was just like, man, I can see myself here. And so from that day on, I made that decision. I did everything I could to get accepted, and then I became a Warrior later on.
Awesome. Well, that being said, that you were, I'm a mama's boy too. So, being mama's boy, you were the first dual sport athlete in your family. Mm-hmm. Did you get like you're the man type stuff from the family, or was it like we expect you to do that kind of success?
That's actually kind of funny. I mean, I would say, like, my uncle prior to me, like, he was very good at, sports at a young age. Like, he was a very good baseball player and basketball player, but he just didn't happen to take it anywhere after high school. And then so for me, growing up, he trained me extensively and he really pushed me hard. And so I was the first one in my family to really take athletics seriously and take it to the next level. So when I got the opportunity to go to college, I went off. It kind of opened up everyone's eyes because it was like the first collegiate athlete, like, in my family's history. I was the first one to like go off and do it. And so as far as like being like the man and stuff like that, I would say I'm a pretty humble, easygoing guy. I don't like to put that spotlight or attention on myself. Like, sometimes it comes and I say thank you and I put a smile on my face and I'd say I appreciate it for what it is. But, it's more so I just do it for my family. I let them know, like, don't treat me any kind of way. Like, I'm still me, whether I'm at Weber International or whether I'm at Arizona State now. Like, I'm still the same old guy, just trying to, do the best that I can, represent my family well, represent my name well as well. And even now the Warriors being off in a different state. So let them know, I'm from here, I'm from Babson, and, we're doing it.
You're not close to home now, for sure. What experiences while you were at Weber prepared you for your transition? Obviously, Weber being such a small school, it's growing, but it's a small school and it will remain. It is part of that small school college environment. What prepared you while being here for the gauntlet of an Arizona State?
Yeah, so I mean, currently, I'm at the Cronkite School in downtown Phoenix. Obviously, like you said, getting my master's in sports journalism. So this first semester, we're going through an extensive boot camp, and we are just extremely swamped and extremely busy. We spend about maybe even 15 to 20 hours in the classroom a week alone. Outside of that, also having to, write stories, do multimedia projects, presentations and all kinds of things. And I think, although it has been a bit of a stressful time going through that, especially going through the COVID era as well, being here at Weber and being as busy as it was, like as a dual sport athlete, I worked on campus as well. I did, I worked for student activities. I worked in the athletics department as well, working games, doing the sports reporting things that we were doing. And I was running back and forth all the time, and it just became a lifestyle. I'd be up at 6:30 in the morning. I wouldn't get home till like 10 o'clock at night, have to do homework, whatever it is I need to do, and then go to bed and do it the next day. And it was just a consistent thing. So when the craziness, came at me so quickly in Arizona, it's like, I've been here before. What's another day? So just take a deep breath and, do everything that you can to be the best version of yourself and just, fight through it. So, yeah, for me, it was just another day, I did it here, I'm doing it there, and
awesome.
Through it.
I love to hear that, because I think so many times people say, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. And if you really have the desire, you're going to get it done. Yeah. And speaking of desire, when did the desire to get your master's become concrete while you were here at Weber? Was it something like you knew as a senior in high school that you were going to get a master's, or is that something that developed during your time period? And when was that?
I coming out of high school, like, I definitely didn't have a master's on my mind. I was more so just trying to take it one thing at a time. So my main focus was getting out of my hometown of Fort Myers, Florida, and being able to get somewhere where I could attain my bachelor's first and play the sport that I love. And once I got here and I started working closely with Ricky in our sports information department and started doing the things that we were doing, I started to develop such a deep love and passion for what it was that I was doing. And it wasn't even more so for myself or maybe the attention or whatever that came with it, but it was what I was doing for the athletes, helping them get exposure, helping them, get on video, let their parents see what it is that we were doing for them as well, and working the games and having my voice be heard and just kind of creating a different atmosphere and environment just gave me that passion and love. And I asked myself, coming late up in my senior year and said, well, what can I do prior, or after Weber that could help extend my career, and how can I take it to the next level? And so for that, I was like, well, let me look into maybe advancing my education, maybe looking at getting my master's somewhere. And so that's when I started to do my research and seeing that Arizona State was like practically the only school that offered like a master's in sports journalism at the Cronkite School. It's a very hard program to get into. There's been a lot of successful people now in the professional world that come out of there. And so I just started to do it with the help of Ricky and a couple other faculty members, did everything I could to make sure that my resume, my application, everything was fine-tuned and ready to go, and kind of just put all my eggs in one basket to go to make that decision and go there.
I was going to ask you about how many schools did you actually look at through that, once you started that process. You stated that they were really one of the only ones. Was that a hard thing to digest of, this is what I want to do, but there's not a lot of options, or were you pretty solid, like, this is what I want to do and I'm willing to just track that route?
Yeah, so kind of looking into it, like, I knew that specifically I wanted to focus in on sports journalism. So kind of looking around, like, the country and trying to see where it is that I can get a master's in some type of communications or journalism. I was mainly looking at Miami, Syracuse, and then Arizona State, of course. And Arizona State, I had visited Arizona State twice prior, and I loved it over there. I loved the environment. I'm originally from New York. I was born in Brooklyn. I lived upstate for a little while as well. And then obviously already being here, like, from South Florida, yeah, I've experienced Miami as well. So those three places were kind of close to home for me. And, for me, it was just like, I don't know what it was about Arizona State that really it was just calling my name. It was something that just clicking in my head, something that just kept like tingling in my stomach that was like, this is where you need to be. This is where you really need to focus on going. And so that's when I ended up just putting all my eggs in one basket and just really just shooting for it. And
awesome.
Yeah, but there was definitely some other schools in consideration, but Arizona State was ultimately.
I think you just enjoyed the dry heat versus the blizzards in Syracuse, so
yeah,
to be quite honest. It's a dry heat, it's not the humidity.
Oh, yeah.
How did you, being a football player, coming and being quarterback, how did you transition, like, as an outsider, it seems kind of random, like, I'm going to go play volleyball. How did that transition happen as being a quarterback to playing indoor volleyball on the collegiate level as well? How did that transition happen for you?
Right. So I actually played volleyball when I was a little younger. Back in like middle school, I had played indoor volleyball for 3 years. Unfortunately, where I'm from over there in Fort Myers in my county, there wasn't men's volleyball at the high school level because I wanted to continue to play as well. So I was going to continue to play with football along with volleyball, but I didn't have the opportunity to, and so I just kind of mainly just focused on football. And when I ended up getting to the collegiate level, like, our women's volleyball team was extremely good my first 2 years here at Weber. They were back-to-back conference champions, and also when they took it over to the beach side of things, they won 2 national championships back-to-back in 17 and 18. And, everybody would always be out here on the courts playing volleyball all the time and everything of that nature. And so I kind of started getting back into it again, playing beach first. And then, it was towards like the end of my junior year that I told myself, like, man, like, I don't know, I'm kind of open, like playing indoor again. And I was like, I know it's at the collegiate level. It won't necessarily be that easy, but, I just know within myself that I'll put in the work. I'll work extremely hard to get as great as I can, and be able to be a part of the team and help in some kind of way or with form or matter. So, it kind of ended up being a little random. I was actually announcing the women's senior volleyball game, senior day last fall. And then Coach Carlos Jimenez, who's here, he's the head men's coach now, came up to me and I was setting a ball over my head to myself, and he just came and asked me like, hey, would you be interested in joining the team? Like, would you be interested in coming? And so we ended up having like a serious talk about it. I came and watched the guys practice one day, and I knew most of the guys as well on the team already, you know, friends with a bunch of them. And I saw him practice one day, and he said, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna come out. And so I came out. It was rough at first. I was like extremely rusty. It was not good, nowhere near it. But you know, Coach Carlos, and also with the help of Coach Gretchen, who's the assistant coach and head women's coach, they really pushed me. They really helped me critique my game outside of practice. And just started playing volleyball, and I had a fun time. It was great before COVID happened.
Real quick aside here, if for those of you that are watching that are students, notice the praise that he gives to those that have helped him. He's dropped multiple names during this to give them the appreciation, and that's something I think many of us can learn is appreciate those that helped you get to the positions where you are. How was that first pepper session? You said it was a little rough, but what was that first pepper session like? You're like, oh, I'm a quarterback in football. I get hit, but all of a sudden you're getting hit by a dude that's 6'5" straight down. How's that feel?
You know when they say life comes at you fast? So that was definitely an experience for me. The first pepper session didn't go as well because like the beach balls and indoor balls are definitely different. So like there was that adjustment to it as well, along with just a bunch of rust. And I had also came off of a hand injury as well. I had broke my left hand.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. So it was a little bit tough of a transition, but I was able to adjust fairly quickly just with the amount of work that I was putting and just having such great coaching, great critique, and just how hard they were on me. It was definitely appreciated by me. You know, I didn't take no offense to it as much as they were on my back because I just knew at the end of the day they were trying to help me get better. And I think I grew pretty significantly from the beginning all the way like towards the end of the season by the time we were getting close to like the conference championship. And I even got to play in a couple games and stuff. And so it was fun. It was just like, it was a great experience, honestly.
So you just touched on something that I find also you accepted criticism and critique. It's not always necessary that the criticism is negative. It's that this will make you better. Mm-hmm. How was that, since you had dealt with it so many years in the football world, how was it as you transitioned to a sport that you were familiar with but not at the level you were trying to play at? How did you resolve with yourself to handle criticism through all your sports life so that it was more of a positive versus a negative?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, with football, like I had a lot of coaches that either you would yell and scream, and then I had other coaches that were very calm and easygoing and just more so just talk to you. So I kind of got a little bit of everything when it came to the football world. But it just, every which way, I didn't necessarily take offense to the volume of their voice. I was more so trying to listen to what it was that they were saying and critiqued my game and actually applied what it is that they're saying. And for volleyball, it was pretty much the same. You know, I came in very open-minded, being very realistic with myself, saying like, hey, like it's been quite some time. And like now you're at the collegiate level. Like these guys are jumping out the gym. They're like hitting extremely hard. You know, it's a lot more aggressive. It's a lot faster. Like be realistic with yourself. Be very open-minded and take every bit of criticism that comes your way. And, you know, with the help of like my teammates as well, like they were very helpful, always helping me. Like, you know, if my form was out of whack, my platform didn't look good, I wasn't bending low enough, like maybe coach doesn't notice all the time, like they were always on me as well and say, hey, CQ, fix this, or hey, Christian, fix this. And I was always just listening to those guys, because a lot of those guys like played since, you know, such a young age. So, you know, I never took offense to it. I was very open-minded about it, just understanding my position and how long it had been for me, and ultimately ended up helping me grow in such a short amount of time. And for me, that was very accomplishing.
Awesome. All right, so as we kind of near the end here, you had so much athletic experience. You already have your bachelor's degree. You're working on your master's. How did the athletic world prepare you for the academic world? And so multiple questions here. And then the second is the athletic prowess that you had to set goals as an athlete. What are some goals as you move out of the master's into business?
Yeah, so for me, my high school coach, Xavier McCrae, back at Cypress Lake High School, he was very big on, you know, the things that you do on the field are going to translate in the classroom. And so he was very predicated and very preached that a lot. And so for me, it was like, if I'm not doing the little things properly out here in the field during practice, being on time, warming up properly, practicing, at 110%, then that's not going to carry on with me in the classroom as well. And so for me, it was all about just trying to do every single thing, not necessarily right, because, we're not perfect, but just trying to do it to the best of my ability in every aspect of my life, whether it be at home, in school or on the field. And, coming into college, I just had the same approach, in the classroom, and just made sure that, I was just trying to be the best version of myself that I could possibly be. And Coach Kelly Scott here as well, he was very big on that as well. It's like, you got to handle your business in the classroom. Like that comes first, because at the end of the day, if you don't have the grades to be able to be on the field, then what use are you to the team? And quite honestly, it's selfish for you to, not be disciplined to get that stuff done and help your team win games. And as far as like, translating it later into life, is a lot of athletes need to understand is like, what is life like after football? What is life like after basketball or baseball or soccer? Like, the things that you do on the field and your attitude and the way that you carry yourself, that's going to follow you, your whole life. And it's not about just playing sports and scoring touchdowns or, getting a kill on the volleyball court. Like, a lot of these things, the way you approach a game, the way that you approach practice, the way that you treat your teammates, the way that you, the type of respect you give your coaches, and the way you, walk around in your community, like that's going to follow you in the workplace. Because if you happen to be a disrespectful athlete that can't take criticism well, then when you get in the workplace and your boss tries to get on you about something, how are you going to respond to that? And that for me was a lot bigger than just playing the sport itself. Like, I wasn't always so predicated upon athletic achievements and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was more so like looking at the big picture, looking at life. What am I about to get out of this college experience? What am I about to get out of my experience at Arizona State that's going to later on help me in life and help me be successful and reach the level of success that it is that I see myself reaching, that I want to reach as well.
Awesome. I feel like if I had a microphone, I could let him drop it right now. I do have two more questions. What was your greatest athletic memory here at Weber?
The greatest athletic memory, man. I gotta say, it was a little nerve-wracking, but I remember back in the, technically this would have been the 2018-2019 season. We were playing Ave Maria at home, and I believe it was our homecoming game as well. Ave was currently playing for the, they were first in the conference, playing for the conference championship, and we ended up taking that game into overtime. Next thing you know, our offense drove down a bit, put us into field goal range, and I was the holder for the field goal unit. So when we went out there, like my heart was kind of racing because this was the game on the line. And so, we came down, Marcus Mannerstedt was our kicker at the time. He took his steps back, he gave me the head nod. And then I just called the cadence, threw my hand up. Next thing you know, held the ball down. Marcus booted it through, and everybody starts rushing the field. And, I picked Marcus up, and we're just cheering around and jumping around. And it was just one of those moments. Like, I think that was the first time in my career we had, like, a game-winning moment. Awesome. With the game on the line, and we pulled away. And it was ironic because earlier that year, we ended up losing in that fashion to Southeastern. So for it to come full circle and us, like, get the win that way, and everybody rushed the field, and, like, it was just such a great feeling. Like, you see it on TV all the time, and it's, like, to actually be in that moment, like, it was awesome.
It's funny that you say that. The moments that we see on TV, we all think those are so big, but those moments happen all over the country.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how big the game is. It's big to those people involved in it, to the fans, to the families, to the players. Last question for you is, what does it mean to be a Warrior?
Man, to be a Warrior, like, that like, it kind of melts my heart a little bit because it hits close to home. Like, to be a Warrior, like, there's people that come here and they don't necessarily appreciate the environment that we have here. Like, this experience is what you make it. And this is anywhere you go. You can go to the University of Florida, or you can be in Polk County here, right here at Weber International University. But, if you don't decide to get up out of your room and to socialize and to look for different opportunities to excel and, expand your resume, like, you're not going to get anything out of it. And just to be a Warrior, to anytime that I needed help, anytime that I needed some type of criticism or that I needed a little bit of guidance, any faculty member, any, professor, coach, that I went to looking for some type of guidance or some kind of help to be able to help me push myself and excel my career here at Weber International, like, they were there. like the doors were always open, and nobody ever turned you down and said like, no, I'm sorry, we don't have time for you now. Like the doors were always open, and everyone was always there. And like, that's what I always loved, is like anytime that I needed something, somebody was there to be able to help me out. And like, that's really what being a Warrior is about. Like, people don't understand the type of culture you have at such a small school. And it's like, you're all gathered around each other. You see the same people every day. And sometimes people say that they so-called get tired of that, but you don't necessarily understand what a blessing that is. You know, now going to a bigger school, and you know, I see new people every single day. I don't know everybody in the facility. I don't know every faculty member and stuff. Like, even the professors I have now, I love them. They're great. You know, they're so helpful. But it's just something about being here that's just like, it hits so close to home. And just even coming back on campus just yesterday and walking past the field and stepping into the gym, and just kind of like, you just get flashbacks, and like you get memories, and things just start hitting you, and seeing the academic building. And yeah, man, just being a Warrior is just, it's amazing. Like, once a Warrior, always a Warrior, for sure.
Wow. If that didn't drop some knowledge for you, I don't know what to tell you. Listen to this. This is what the quintessential idea of what small college life is like. I would be remiss if I didn't say we're partnering up with the bookstore. We've got a water jug from Camelback, and we've got a Richardson hat. You can, for you Black Sock folks, you can leave it flat, and for us old folks, we can curl the bill. So it goes both ways on that. But visit the bookstore. I want to thank Christian for joining us today. Good luck with the degree. I'm going to leave us with this quote today. You hit it on the head. This is the Warrior quote of the day. Being a Warrior is not about the act of fighting. It's about the ability, courage, and commitment to end the war within oneself and not quit until the job is done. That is brought to us by Richard Makowitz. So, Christian, I want to thank you so much, and it was a pleasure to interview you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.